Hi.
Hello. Oh my God. What is this? Let me see.
I've had this for a really long time, and it is just one of my absolute favorite things that when I was in my sad time, we'll call them sad times, I stopped wearing. But
So cute.
it reminds me of it's a vintage blouse, obviously from the 80s, but it reminds me of something from something like a man would have worn in like the 16th century. Like a poet like proposing his love to someone on a mountaintop.
Me and my sister always joke around that our fashion style, if we would just like go for it, is colonial.
I I mean, I love, and I have it like because it's
Ah,
so big. I have it like all tucked up. Anyway,
cute. I love it.
thank you so much for doing this. You look fantastic. Um, I started when you just when I was like seeing you come on, I started laughing because I was like, oh, that's not a cat. That's like spiritually a cat, your pillow on your bed, but it's like giving off a real cat vibe.
So weird you said that. Someone texted me today a picture of a cat and asked if we wanted it in Florida.
The cat energy is really big with you right now.
I was like, oh my God, I want him so bad, but we didn't even like see the place yet, you know? We're just like, we literally had a realtor walk around. We're like, we'll take this. We're just gonna accept this. Haven't been
Yeah,
there yet. It's fine.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to get there and
Yeah, but I do need
get
to get
yourself settled. Um, all right, I am getting us all set up to go live.
I am in your group. I'm gonna put it on mute just so if anyone asks questions, I'll be ready.
Okay.
I don't know if they would, but you know, you never know. Getting ready.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we are live. Yay. Hi, everyone. I am super, super, super excited to be here today. I always love going live, but I am really honored and just like tickled to be here with Lydia Bagarozza, who is a dear friend of mine, a beloved client, my former publicist, who is really like to say she's on my team is an understatement. She understands me, she understands my work. She volunteered to come and do this because of an experience that she had this week. She always gets these like massive, really wild, beautiful results from working with me. And she does an excellent job of articulating the power of my work. I think you guys have heard me say this often. I am not like always the best at being able to explain the power of my work because I get so there it's hard for me to put it into words. So but Lydia does not have that problem. She's really good at explaining the power of my work. And the thing we wanted to talk about is something that is almost certainly going to make me cry. It's a good thing that I have waterproof makeup on, which is chronic pain, nerve pain in particular. It's something both she and I have struggled with over many decades. And it is not to put a qualifier on human suffering, but nerve pain, for anyone who has ever experienced nerve pain, is, in my opinion, one of the hardest things that we can grapple with from a physical perspective. And after many years of contemplation about this, I think one of the big reasons why it's so hard is because it's invisible. It's really something that is both agonizing from a physical perspective, and it is impossible to explain to people who have not experienced it. I have been in groups for pain management. I have like met many people who struggle with this, and it is a pretty common theme, is that it's really hard to explain to people just how hard it is, because people can't see it. I had a doctor years ago explain it to me, like he said something so smart. He was like, he could see how much I was struggling with it, and he was like, the real problem is that unless you have like an arrow sticking out of your shoulder, it's hard for people to see. And I think that's true of like all human pain. I think like no matter how much we can empathize with people, it can be harder to understand what other people are going through. It's just part of the human condition. I get that. Anyway, that is a very long lead up to what we're going to talk about today, which is that my modality, which involves light language and energy healing, has had a really big impact on her life and on my own. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is the way that light language has the capacity to really shift things very quickly for anyone who is struggling with chronic pain. And we'll talk about other stuff too. But if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And for those of you who don't know Lydia is, I feel like I'm glad that I'm getting to do this like with words, because Lydia is a publicist, and she is a conscious publicist. She calls herself a purpose-driven publicist. I met Lydia last year, at the beginning of last year, I believe it was. And I actually did a cold reading for her on Clubhouse. And I was like, whoa, you guys know one of my gifts is that I can see I can see people's purpose. I can see their soul blueprint. And I was like, whoa, this woman has like wild dazzle written into all parts of her chart. She came here to do this really amazing reimagining and like reclamation of the space of entertainment, turning it from something that has been really hard and complicated and like out of alignment with what humanity needs, back into something that's like spiritually rich and provides like nourishment to our souls and our bodies. So Lydia is like truly one of my absolute freaking favorite people alive. Her work is so important. If you were looking for a publicist, look no further. But yeah, so Lydia, hello, welcome. I'm so honored to have you here. Thank you so much.
Hello. Wow. Thank you for this warm welcome. I feel like you were so good at hyping people up. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to feel really good for the rest of the day.
I call myself a human cheerleader. I was actually I was a cheerleader for a very brief window of time. It was kind of a delicate dance between my anxiety and my desire to be a giant ham, which you are familiar with. But in the months leading up to 7th grade, I was actually a cheerleader for a hot minute. It wasn't long lasting for a variety of reasons, but I believe myself to be a planetary cheerleader, and they are in storage right now, but you have seen them. I have actual pom-poms that I'm waving energetically right now. And this is nice too, because everyone can get a real like feel for my blouse, which I'm really, I'm my own hype person right now with this blouse. So anyhow, yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I will, I guess, start out by just kind of saying how I connected to you with the nerve thing. And then you can just go into kind of like how you do it. But anyway, so people have context. Years ago, during, I guess, my spiritual awakening, during my self-development, when I felt like I was at my absolute rock bottom, the real rock bottom, in addition to a variety of unfortunate events, was that I was suffering from nerve pain. And I didn't know what was causing it. To me, I thought it was just like carpal tunnel or something, even though that wasn't even in the right place where carpal tunnel happens. Like it started in my hands, and it would switch sides. So sometimes I would get it in my arm all the way up to my shoulder, and then it would switch to the other side. And it was honestly debilitating. I was working next to New York City at the time for record labels. I was going in and out representing really big talent. And I was running myself into the ground. I felt horrible. I remember that there were days that I would go to the bathroom at my office just to get a break and like cry, which is really sad. And the thing that it was, well, let me just tell you what happened first. So, of course, like on this journey, this was the very beginning of everything. I was thinking on a very, I guess, 3D plane. So I was like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. So the doctor fit me for a carpal tunnel cast. I went to a hand specialist. I had procedures done where they were telling me I had like pinched nerves, which were probably true. I went to chiropractors. I bought these like really expensive packages. I was going to an acupuncturist. I probably spent around, and this was when I had like no money. I was pretty broke at the time. I probably spent around like $5,000 on all of these different medical modalities and going to the doctor's office. And the funny part about all of this was that it was actually all stress induced, and I had no idea. So, and a bunch of other things, which Andrea will tell you, ancestral. But what really woke me up to the whole concept that this is not just a physical thing, there's so many other things at play, was I went to go see a psychic. As one does when they feel like they're at wit's end with their life. And she was so sweet in telling me, she was like, I don't want to offend you, and I know this pain is real, but have you ever thought that maybe it has to do with stress? And she mentioned a book to me that was Dr. John Sarno. He was a real doctor. Yeah, he was a huge doctor, and he healed celebrities for their back pain. And she was like, I don't really know too much, but like, I'm just getting this, you need this book, whatever. After maybe like 5 pages, my pain started to go away. Which is crazy because this was happening for 6 months. I mean, I was in hysterical tears. There were friends that would call me on Friday nights to go out. And at the time I was 25. So, for a 25-year-old to not want to leave their house and be crying because they're in physical pain, thinking about switching their career, like that is sad. So it was just a really difficult time for me. And anyway, I was able to heal that with I did a lot of yoga. I tried meditation for the first time, and just the awareness that it could be something else other than physical. It could be all of the stress that I was putting on myself for this job and tons of other things. That was a huge wake-up call for me that actually really healed my body. But there are times where it does revisit. And I know now, thank God, with my knowledge of this, that it's not just the physical. So I ended up reaching out to Andrea last week, and I was like, hi, I really am not feeling great. I've been going through a lot of nerve pain recently. And is there anything that you have to just share with me? I know she has a lot of free resources, light language resources and things that she's so incredible to share. And trust me, I've definitely invested in her work and I love her work, but I was like, any quick fix? I was kind of just not in a good place. And she messaged me an ancestral healing light language on her SoundCloud. And I didn't even think twice. I just have so much faith and trust in her because I've seen the incredible things that she does with myself, her clients. She's just so special, such a pure person that I also really trust her. And that's something that I've never really been able to do with a lot of people, is like, I just have so much faith and trust that I can go to her with anything. And she's just like, I got you, no judgment. And it's just such a beautiful relationship. So thank you. You're so special. But she sent me an ancestral healing light language. I read it and I was like, ancestral healing, interesting. But I just was like, all right, doctor's orders. I'm just going to put it on. Witch doctor's orders. And she told me to listen to it a few times and kind of just sit there, and it might make me sleepy. And then she said to kind of play it in the background. So I did that, and I woke up the next morning and we are all good. No more pain. So, oh my God, and that's the thing with nerve pain. And I know that Andrea mentioned this, and I will let her speak in a minute, I promise. But it's so painful, and nobody gets it because you can't see it. And so last week, I remember it just kept hurting and it kept hurting and I kept ignoring it. And I knew that it was something else that I had to deal with. And I ended up like picking up the remote to watch TV, maybe like Tuesday night or something. And I just dropped it because my nerves like wouldn't let me pick it up. And it was so painful that it just fell out of my hand. And it's such a crazy thing that that happens. But anyway, I'm just forever grateful for Andrea and her work, and the fact that she even provides these free resources online. Like, do not sleep on them, because she's giving you free healing. So make sure that you listen to all of her free resources. She also has a TikTok with all of her light languages up there, and she's just so generous in doing this for us. So thank you. And if anyone has any questions for me too about like my healing, or any questions about why I came to her, or whatever it is that you want to ask, feel free. But that's the whole thing in a nutshell. Thank you guys for listening.
I appreciate this so much. And I have actual tears in my eyes because I mean, you said it, I said it, nerve pain and any kind of chronic pain is really, really, really challenging to manage. Years ago, you guys have, if you're new to my work, you maybe haven't heard me talk about this. For those of you who are familiar with my journey, I was in 4 car accidents that all like injured me. And I would go through this cycle of being injured. And then I would go through this like really arduous, crazy journey of like recovering. And then another one would happen. And I really believe in a very deep way that the reason all of that and I've lived through some really crazy trauma. The reason I think that all happened was because I was supposed to remember what I was really capable of, which was finding a new way. Like one thing that people who read for me would always say to me was like, whoa, girl, you are a mess maybe right now, but you are someday going to invent something that is going to change the world. And especially when I was like hard up and having a hard time and like really, I mean, nerve pain led to severe depression on my part, really bad. Like I had always struggled with anxiety, but it amped my anxiety up. I had PTSD from the car accidents and from some things that had happened to me when I was a kid. It was just like this like horrible, horrible cycle where a couple of years ago, I was debilitated by my nerve pain. I was disabled. I had been laid off from a job in the fall of 2019. I recently wrote an article. I'm laughing at myself. It's important to have a very good sense of humor about one's own struggles. I think that honestly helps. But I was like writing about my journey, and I was like, I had started wearing sweatpants to work, not like hot girl yoga sweatpants when people are like, oh, I'm wearing sweatpants, but like they're really like looking so chic and cool and like embodied. I was like wearing big, dirty ass, sad, cry for help sweatpants. I'm surprised I didn't get fired sooner. I got laid off because of like structural thing, but like my boss and I both knew what was really happening, which is that I had fallen off the rails, and I was scared. I was really scared of what was going to happen to me. And I ended up on short-term disability for a number of months. And then I had actually filed an application for long-term disability at the beginning of 2020. And my guides, I've been in communication with my guides since I was a baby. And my guides were like, you have to do this, but you also aren't going to need this. And it was this confusing, like, I felt like it was one of those times where like, we're having a lot of growth in a very short window of time. And it was like, I had to meet myself in the space I was in 3D, but it was also time for me to start my business and do the thing that other people had always seen for me, which was that I was going to do something to really help people in this way. And I started my business. And it's not been like a particularly easy journey. It's been a lot. I've had to move through a lot of my own struggles, but my pain has shifted so much. And I use light language. I use energy healing. I do all of this stuff to address the trauma, because it's not that I think that there is absolutely a time and a place for medicine. I took prescription medication for my nerve pain for years. I've seen chiropractors. I've done physical therapy. I've done I had a back surgery in 2018. I've done a lot from a 3D perspective to get to where I am. But at the end of the day, the thing that really shifted me was meeting myself, doing the trauma work, and acknowledging, I call it the bag of rocks. A friend and I coined that years ago, that that idea that we're all carrying around a bag of rocks. And the reason why, when you asked me, I could just see so clearly that it, for you especially, had to do with that ancestral trauma, is because we are at a point in human history where it's so important for all of us to acknowledge that there are things that we have been basically lugging around that are not even ours, that create an emotional and therefore physical impact. We're learning so much. His work, that book that you brought up, is so interesting. And I remember being shown that book years ago at the very beginning of my own journey with like back pain. And I knew he was right, but I was also sort of on it wasn't time for me to like be able to actualize that. Like, I remember reading his book, I understood intellectually that he was right about it, and then there was this other way where it was hard for me to actually, like, I was still experiencing the physical pain, and for me the reason I had to do it was so that I could learn and remember what I was capable of. I learned how to do Reiki as a recent college graduate years and years ago. I've studied so many different metaphysical practices and different healing modalities. And when I started my business, what I was shown was that I took all of that stuff that I had learned both over the course of this lifetime and many others, and essentially synthesized it into something really targeted. So that I am able to, because of the way that I'm able to see people, because I'm able to see what people's highest potential is, I also get shown simultaneously what is causing the block, like from people being able to embody that. And physical pain is one of the things that I can really help people with. I have worked with so many people who experience, whether it's nerve pain, chronic illness. My work has such a fast impact. I've worked with a bunch of different people who have been also in car accidents, and helped them be able to move out of things that happen to people when they're in these accidents, like concussions. And, there are these things that happen to us that are so physically impactful, and my work helps to just clear that so quickly. It's really beautiful to watch people move through the physical trauma, and I think that's where we're going as a collective. There are certainly times where the 3D physical medicine is so important, but we're moving into this future where it's really important for us to acknowledge the emotional impact and the historical and ancestral trauma that ends up impacting us. I have also lost a ton of weight over the past couple of years. I've lost over 50 pounds, and that was another way that like my body sort of created like a physical wall of protection around me, was to like gain weight in the face of trauma. It made me feel like it would, obviously it's a distorted way of feeling safe, but it's one of the things that made me feel safe for a long time. And as I've been able to really own my own trauma and my healing and my ancestral journey, I have been able to release so much of that and see quantum results, not just for me, but for my clients. Like the way that we're able to shift so quickly. And one of the reasons why something like you listening to that light language that I channeled, that ancestral healing, had such a quick impact is because of how much you do invest in yourself, because of how much you show up for yourself. Like you are this really powerful force who is very willing to embrace your spiritual journey, and it makes it so that a lot of that other stuff can like very quickly, you are able to embody that in a very quick way because of how much you invest in yourself. And so I want to also just like acknowledge that is, as we move forward, my guides say it all the time, we are our own, your spiritual gifts, your spiritual, your soul's destiny, your blueprint, all of that is really the most powerful currency that we possess. And it's just going to become more and more and more important as we move out of these systems that we're watching fail, right? Like we're watching all of the education, medicine, governments, like religion, the cloud of disillusionment is becoming impossible to ignore at this point. And so as we move out of those, we're being called to embrace new things, and one of those things is light language, one of those things is energy medicine, and those are really ancient ways of relating that feel really futuristic but have actually always existed for humanity. So that was that was a lot, but yeah,
So good. And I have so many things to say. One being, I really want to touch on what I think is so special with your work is trust, and the trust aspect that I have for you as a healer. I, like many of us, have gone down the rabbit hole of healers and different psychics and all these different people that do different things, but you are one of the very special people that have really stuck, and it's because I really trust that your work works and that you can see me and hear me in a really special light. And I remember when I first did I first did a session with you, I didn't even really know you, and I invested like, $900 in your in your session because I was like, all right, well, we're just going to do this, because I could tell right away that you were just like a true person and you had something so special about you. I was like, fuck it, we're just going to do this, and we're going to put it all into 2 hours and see what happens. And I walked away from that session feeling so seen. And to this day, I still am like, wow, like if I feel down or if I feel like I'm having a rough week, I just remember like what you had said in that session. And it really has been, you are a walking cheerleader, but not even that. It's just some of the things that you say and you do are totally out there. I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. I'm like, I don't even know what she's doing. Like, as you're talking to me, you're like patting your head, drinking a weird drink. You're like lighting some candles, like finding, at one point she lit a cigarette. I was like, oh, okay, it's like that. Like, I was like, what is going on right now? But I trust the process because I see the results afterwards every single time. I worked with you in tandem with Elise last I was going to say semester. Sorry, I've been talking to my intern. Back in November, and that was my first 20K month. That has never happened to me before, and I fully surpassed 10. By the way, I went from like under 10 to 20, and was like, okay, I guess this is who I am now. And that was definitely a result of healing. Also, back in September, and it's interesting that this is during like the eclipse, because it was like during eclipse season then, and then now that I'm having these ancestral things come up and whatnot. But back in September, I remember we were still working together, and I messaged you and I was like, listen, I might be slow this week. I have this weird thing going on with my tooth. I have great teeth. I love the dentist. But I had like a infection in my gums, and it was caused by like a wisdom tooth or whatever. And so I messaged it to Andrea, and she's just, again, so generous. And she was like, oh my God, Lydia, this is what's going on. It's a metaphor for the roots, and like it's actually like an ancestral and a familial trauma thing. And like she was telling me all of this about this trauma that's happening. And she's like, obviously you need to deal with that on a 3D level, like go to the doctor, but also here's like the witch things you can do. So it was so crazy to me that she's saying this to me, because in that moment I'm like, I don't feel good, and I'm like running around to doctors and doing all of these things. And then they wanted to do a surgery, and I just took some medicine. It went away, and I was like, no, I don't want to do the surgery. Not to say that those things aren't important, but I just knew in my gut that I didn't need that surgery, that it really just had to do with some sort of trauma that forced this to surface. And I just needed to heal myself in two ways, on an energetic level and on my physical level, because it got to a point where you can't ignore it anymore. And your physical body is like, here it is, clear it now. Let's get this done with. And so we ended up having a session, worked on some clearing work. And I really think that catapulted not only my more income in my career and cleared a lot of energy, but also on my physical body, she was able to she was able to heal me on that level too. So it really is such a beautiful thing, because I'm such an advocate for doctors. But there are certain things where like we don't see the connection a lot of the time between our energetic body and our physical body, and they really work in tandem with each other. And what Andrea did for me is show me the connection and really bridge that gap for me. So now I can use my intuition and notice and recognize, okay, if something's going on physically, let me check in with myself. Like, what's going on physically where I can heal it and work on that? And also, what's going on energetically? Am I stressed right now? Are there trauma things that are coming up? Am I being triggered? All these different things that she does, that not only has her work done amazing things in the session, but outside of the session is what I'm saying as well, because she's so great at explaining it. I know she says she isn't, but she's so great at explaining things in our sessions too, that I now also have knowledge behind what it is that she does and what is important for us to heal.
Yeah. And you know, I just, I love I love my clients so much. I love this work. I care so much about this planet. I like feel emotional even talking about it. Like I've had so many struggles on a human level. And what that has done for me is make it so there's nothing that I can't hold space for. Like you could come to me with the most insane thing in the entire world. And I'm like, nope, I've got you. I can hold space for you to recover from anything, because I can like see these. One of the things that I have always been able to do, and finally stepping into like doing this work professionally, has been so amazing, because now instead of me like, you know, telling my friends who were like, okay, you know, like, not that my friends didn't appreciate what I had to offer, but,
Right.
you know, instead of being like a kid and being able to like see all this stuff about people and essentially having nothing to do with it, it's now really empowering, because now I can sit down with people, and it's a big investment to work with me. And I know that. But I also, one of the things that I get shown about working with me is that it is really a big trust fall, because like you were describing it so well. And one of my clients also, you know, says that like, it's kind of like hard to explain what I do. Like, you know, all of a sudden I'm like mumbling something in light language and waving my fingers around. And then all
We
of a
just say
sudden
yes.
yeah, just like say yes, and then like people's problems go away. And the reason is because when you're able to meet yourself in that space of wonder, basically is what I'm shown over and over again, it opens up this potential for you to really align into your highest timeline. And it's written into all, like, anyone who's ever read my astrological chart or done a psychic reading for me, I mentioned the thing about people saying I was going to invent something, which was a common theme. And the other thing that I have just always like known about myself, and is like written into my chart, is that I channel the energy. The reason why the healing can happen so fast for people when they step into that space of wonder is because I channel the energy of the ascended masters and the saints and the sages and, you know, Jesus and Buddha and like all of that. That's why I remember, like, you know, being a young person and people being like, when you hug me, it feels like I don't, like I've never been hugged like the way that you hug me. And people always wanted me to hug them, right? In the pre-Coco times, pre-COVID times, there was this way where like people love to get hugged by me. And it was because I'm able to very quickly transmute people's like karma and drama and pain. And that is why it's also important, because it happens so fast with me. That's also why it's important for it to be a financial investment, is because you don't, when you do a session with me, you end up getting the equivalent of like 100 energy healings at one time, and you get light language and you get all of this stuff. And so it ends up impacting all parts of people's lives. It makes room, like you, every time that we do a session with each other, your income up levels, something wild happens in your life. You like find your dream apartment, your car heals itself, your tooth
The
heals
car.
itself. You
Wait,
have, you have these
we need to talk about the car.
yeah, please.
Oh my God, we need to talk about the car. So speaking of just like bizarre things that Andrea can do, she's also an energetic mechanic, apparently. That's the thing, that I trust you in so many levels. Like now I'm just like, yes, this is possible. Where before last year, I would have been like, okay, there's no way. Imagine if I went to my dentist and was like, they were like, oh, like maybe we should do this surgery even though it's fully healed. And imagine I was like, oh no, it's okay. Like I took the medicine, and also like it was just familial trauma and ancestral trauma, but now we're good because I did energy work on, like, imagine what would happen. But that's literally like what happened, right? And I just have this innate trust with you. And we had a session recently. I went in for a variety of things, but one of the things that I did not ask for that was bothering me for years, and this is when you really realize everything is connected, everything is energy, things that need to be cleared in order to heal other things, apparently also electronics. So my car has been having issues for 2 years now, or pre-pandemic, whatever, where the blinker would burn out. So if I wanted to turn right, you turn on your blinker and it would like click really, really fast. And I brought it to multiple mechanics. And this is the thing, you say that your sessions are pricey investments, but like I would have spent, speaking of, just sorry, but like I said, I spent probably around $5,000 on different types of doctors when all I probably needed to do was go to you for 1/5 of that price. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just nuts now that I think about it. But anyway, same thing happened with my car. Now I know just to go to you for everything. Not everything, of course, but like, so it would always burn out. I would go to the mechanic and they would tell me the same things like, oh, it's just, you need to change your light bulb. That's it. And I was like, okay. So we had the light bulb changed. And then a week later, it would happen again. And then I went to like another mechanic a few weeks later and they're like, oh, we need to change the light bulb. I'm like, that's weird. The last one did that. It didn't work. They're like, no, this is the reason. So then I change it. What happens is starts clicking again like that. Then I ended up getting the fuse changed. So I'm spending like over $1,000 on this car, probably around like 2,000, all said and done. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, I'm over it. I don't really drive anyway. If it's going to burn out, it's going to burn out. I'm local, whatever. So, it was funny too, because we had gotten together a few weeks prior and you had told me that your car was having some drama and that it was connected energetically to you. And I was like, huh, that's weird. I didn't even think twice about it, right? I think I might have briefly mentioned my car issue, but like that was it. And then we ended up having our session a few weeks later and I got in my car after our session. I think it was on a Friday and my car wasn't clicking quickly anymore. And I was like, weird. Maybe it's just like having a hiccup and it like healed itself for 5 minutes. I don't know. It's been now 2 months. It's fully healed. I haven't had any issues. And I was having, what? I told my boyfriend, I was like, oh my God, Andrea healed my car. He's like, no way. And he drives it all the time. So he knows what goes on. Also, it was like randomly the engine would get weird where like what is it called? I don't know, it would like slip when I changed gears. So that stopped happening and that happened every once in a while. Like it's just fully healed. My car is purring like a kitten. It feels like a brand new car. And it's just so amazing to see that everything is truly, truly connected. All the drama in our life, anything that we are attracting that we don't want, it really just stems down to healing that we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important right now. Like, I feel like for everyone, as we keep moving forward, doing the emotional work, clearing ourselves of these traumas, it is going to be just more and more and more important. And I see it in people all the time, like their income shifts, they feel more embodied, they're able to see and embrace their purpose in a totally new way when you work with me. So it can be hard for me to talk about like the tangible results, because it ends up impacting people in so many different ways, and it just happens so quickly. And I'm just really honored and so grateful that I get to do this as a job. And I want to be really respectful of your time. I appreciate you doing this so much, Lydia. You know that you are just one of my absolute favorite people in the entire world. I want to invite people, if anyone is thinking about working with me, through Sunday, the session that Lydia was talking about, having done the celestial soul retrieval, those are on sale through Sunday for 50% off. So you save $500. I can't wait. The people who have signed up to do them are like, I cannot wait to just like experience the impact of those sessions is so wild. I connect people to their galactic families. I do like all kinds of really wild energy medicine. People start to be able to communicate with their guides. They get connected to the earth and the fairy realm. Wild people end up coming through, like people's guides end up coming through. I did one recently with someone who's an artist. All of these really, I am also an abstract painter, so this session was like particularly profound for me. All of these abstract female painters, Hilma Af Klint, Joan Mitchell, a bunch of other really powerful poets came through for this woman. It's incredible to see the impact that these have, the people who come through, the ancestors, the guardians, and it just makes it easier for you to be able to navigate your own life when you start to take that like huge leap of faith. And I say it all the time, I am my own greatest skeptic. I have been talking to my guides since I was a baby. I see everyday miracles in action. I see them in my client's life. I see them in my own life. And I'm still like, like so I just want to like acknowledge that too, that this leap of faith is something that I am on myself too. It's not, I'm not just like encouraging clients to take the leap of faith. It's like every day that I wake up, I'm like, here I am again with these wild, crazy, like magical gifts. And I just got to keep on like powering through and trusting it. And the results are so effing incredible. So book a soul retrieval with me and we will spend an hour and a half. I will go through, I will give you light language healing. I will work in your Akashic records. I will align you into your highest timeline, and we will call home these parts of yourself through this celestial soul retrieval process. My guides were very specific about what that needed to be called because it's so multifaceted, like what it is that's happening while we do that. And then it just makes everything else in your life easier. I have April is my birthday month, which I'm really excited about. It's at the end of the month, but I have some other fun, cool stuff that's going to happen over the course of the month. So also I encourage people to sign up to get yourself on my email list and just really start to take the leap of faith, because again, our spiritual gifts are our greatest currency. Like we have already been moving through some wild stuff. I want to just give a special shout out. I referred to the pre-pandemic or the pandemic time as the Coco drama. That is Jennifer Longmore's hilarious, brilliant term, the Coco. For it, I love it because that time really forced us all to go inward. It gave us a chance. It was a very hard time from a collective and an individual standpoint, but it really gave us a chance to go inward and to start to say, it's time for me as a human to really look at my own experience and really like claim ownership of my own life. So we're like, time is speeding up. We are moving through the journey in an even faster and faster way every day. Time like shifts, in my opinion, but I am just so honored to be able to do this work. And I encourage everyone who struggles with any, like I can help you with anything, chronic pain,
anything,
car issues, money blocks, like whatever. I am here to get you to the place that you want to be. And Lydia, I know you have a really cool group program that you are offering. I know there are other ways too, but tell us how we can get in touch with you, how people can work with you. Love it.
Gosh, thank you. So before we close out, I just want to say Andrea is a true expert. Um, I know there's so many healers in this industry. I know I see them every day. I am a networking hoe, if you will. Um, I've spoken to many, and she is a real expert, and she is one of the purest people I've ever met. Like, really has this special childlike way about her. She's so kind, just like as if you were to like meet a pure child. However, she is also an expert. She really is just a unicorn of a human being. And like, you would be crazy not to work with her or not to buy her sessions right now for 50% off. Like, I would pay for them over and over again at the full price, and they are 50% off. So do not sleep on it. If you are with us, if you are watching this later, like, don't do it. That's all I want to say. And I have a unique relationship with her where I also got to represent her as my client. And I really only take on clients that I truly believe in. And I got to witness her in so many different ways and in the media where she is an expert in so many different areas. And it truly blew my mind. So with that being said, work with her, work with her, work with her. About me. So if you are a healer that is looking to expand your exposure, my specialty is through the media. So I do have this program right now called the PR Accelerator. So if you are interested in getting out of your social media bubble and really utilizing the media and leveraging that to reach a larger audience, I know in Andrea's space, most of us are impact driven, purpose driven, and we are here to make a difference in the world. And the way to reach large amounts of people in a short period of time is through the media. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to get on podcasts, publications, it's $675, which is like the smallest amount of such a great investment. And I won't ever be doing this again. This was kind of just like something where I felt like individuals really needed this right now. We needed to be able to get outside of social media. And also too, I don't know if you remember, but we had a glitch where it just like fully went down back in October, I think. And that was scary. A lot of us, we only have one point of entry to our business, and it's Facebook and it's Instagram. So being able to really not differentiate, but really create new streams to your business is so important. So anyway, that is happening. If you want to learn more about it, it's starting April 20th. It's 4 weeks long. It's going to be live. You can DM me for any questions, and you can DM me to sign up. You can find me on Facebook. Again, I'm Lydia Bagarozza. You can also find me on Instagram. My handle is @LydMarieBag. It's like my whole name in shorter versions. But if you type in Lydia Bagarozza, I have a very unique name, and I'm pretty sure there's only one of me. Andrea, thank you so much for having me. I can scream your amazing, amazing work from the rooftops. I have before. Everybody knows who you are in the internet and off the internet in my circle. Thank you a million times.
Oh, I love you so much. We'll make sure that all of your stuff is here. I will also just say your TikTok. I love what you're doing on TikTok. We'll make sure that people can reach you in all the ways. I appreciate you so much. I love all of you for being here with us, sharing your time and your energy, and enjoy your weekend. Lydia, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I love you, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.